This report changes the entire narrative around the Padres as information about Mike Shildt has come out that could change your opinion on him and your opinion on the team overall. Let's talk about it. Hi, welcome back to another episode of Padres Digest with your host, Andrew. And like I said, we got some new juicy information, some tea, some drama, whatever you want to call it, because Kevin Acee dropped I don't want to call it a hit piece, but let's just say he asked some questions about people who have worked with Mike Shildt, and it might change the way you feel about him, the team, and just in general, everything, right? So let's just start with this. It's a little recap thingy of what's been happening, and then we'll read some, I had it run through ChatGPT, my best friend, as always, the article. Obviously, full credit to Kevin Acee, but just to summarize it a little quicker for you guys so it's more easily digestible. But let's start with this. Right? Robert Murray on the Shildt situation was caught off guard by it. Shildt wasn't universally loved. Shildt and Preller had a good relationship. Says Preller is the best executive in the game and should be extended. Ryan Flaherty and Nick Hundley, two possible names. Nick Hundley would be random, right? But the thing we want to focus on, Shildt wasn't universally loved. Now, everyone has their own opinion on Mike Shildt, right? Whether you love him because he's a fight for your players kind of coach, or you hate him because he ignores analytics and gets pissed off really easily. But saying he's not universally loved by the Padres is an interesting thing, right? Because when you think of managers, you think of him like managing the players, right? But managering, is that a word? Managering in the MLB is like so much more, right? You deal with the press, you deal with the coaches, you even deal with the outside forces that might affect the Padres. So there's a lot more that comes into it, right? And that's why Mike Shildt was like, nah, I'm stressed. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm retiring, right? But to not be universally loved makes you think that there was drama behind the scenes between Mike Shildt and other parties. And that's very interesting to think about, right? And Kevin Acee does a good job of laying everything out, so I have it divided into sections as I do. And I think we can go over it a little bit. So let's start with a little introduction, the breaking point. Shildt said he stepped away for his mental health, but staff said he'd worn them out. Nearly 20 organizational sources told the Union Tribune that he was demanding, controlling, and quick-tempered. He admitted he was frustrated by the inability to please everybody. Many inside the team were simultaneously relieved and respectful of his exit, appreciative of his success, but ready for change. Interesting. That's the coaching staff on the screen right there, of course, but interesting. People did not like Mike Shildt. Why? Well, let's find out, right? So, the choice. Padres officials say the retirement was Shildt's decision, not a firing. Still, multiple people said it was a decision months in the making. Some in the organization felt the same way. They were ready for relief after 2 tense years. A.J. Preller called their relationship productive, but his careful tone implied there was friction behind the scenes. Did it imply that, or was it a stretch, a leap? I don't know. But Coach Kent on Twitter said, everyone can have their opinion, and if you can believe what you want about Mike Shildt retiring from the Padres, from numerous sources I have talked to, he was fired, which is a completely different narrative from what we were given. That being said, again, love the Padres. It's not the first time they've ever kind of low-key lied to us and told us a completely different narrative. I mean, think of the Michael King situation, right? Oh, I slept on my shoulder wrong. Out for the next 4 months or whatever it was, right? So it's not like the Padres haven't hid stuff from us before. It's not going to be the last time they've ever hid something from us. And let's be honest, they're not the only team to probably hide stuff from their fans, but this is an interesting thing to really hide from fans, especially because you were told, because retiring and fired are completely different things. I mean, not exactly, like you can be forced to retire, which could be what happened here, but being forced to retire and retiring on your own volition are completely different things. Let's put it that way. But moving on to more stuff. Highly successful, but polarizing. Even his detractors admitted he was a top-tier game manager and that players liked him. Top-tier game manager? I don't know. But that's besides the point, right? The issue wasn't results, it was method. Coaches said he was patient with players, but harsh with staff. sometimes berating them one moment and smiling in front of the team the next. The Padres' success kept everyone from openly complaining, but morale among coaches was low. Now, also, please apply if you haven't or want to. Now, this is what I feel initially reading this, right? So, obviously, yes, we all saw him ride or die for his players. Like, he got thrown out of baseball games defending our players. Like, so we don't question his loyalty. But him being hard on coaches, I can see it one of two ways, right? A, maybe it's a power trip ego kind of thing, right? I don't really know if I want to believe that. Or B, he just has very high expectations for the coaches that are a huge deal and have huge impacts on the way his players play. I like to think of it as like a principal, like Mike Shildt's the principal of a school. His players are the students and his coaches are the teachers. Maybe he has high expectations on the teachers to teach the students so they can grow into the best versions of themselves. Kind of like Coach Carter or like literally every single sports movie ever. Ooh, excuse me, where the coaches are like super hard on the players to like grow the best versions of themselves they can be. Whiplash, for another example, right? Great movie. So, is it a sense of demanding too much, or is it a sense of just high expectations? Do we know that for sure? No, but we can speculate, and that's what Kevin Acey's doing. He's speculating. Do I agree with the method he's doing it by making these claims? I don't know. But let's just continue before we can get a little too speculatory. But here we go. Different place, same story. The same issues that led to his first firing in St. Louis resurfaced in San Diego: micromanagement and temper. Sources said several Cardinals coaches once threatened to quit if he stayed. In San Diego, some coaches privately said they'd leave if they found other jobs. Many described him as exhausting to work under, demanding perfection, and prone to snapping. One coach admitted he became better because of Shildt standards, but still didn't appreciate the treatment. And I want to show you this too. This is from St. Louis Sports Central, so obviously not for us, but for St. Louis. With the Mike Shildt retirement story out of San Diego, we now have more context on why he was fired by the Cardinals after the 2021 season. Per Kevin Acey of the San Diego Union Tribune, multiple Cardinals coaches and others in the organization threatened to quit if Shildt remained manager. The issues that surfaced in San Diego were eerily similar to those that led to his abrupt firing in St. Louis. Shilt's demanding micromanaging style, quick temper, and tense relations with coaches and support staff. Nearly 20 people described him as unyieldingly intense and resistant to feedback, often clashing with those around him. The Cardinals have only ever cited philosophical differences as the reason for his dismissal, but this reporting shows it was far deeper than that. So like I was kind of posing the question earlier, was it a sense of too much demanding, too much expectations of perfection, or was it just simply a coach or a manager wanting the best out of his coaches to bring the best out of his players? Is there a fine line to that? Did he cross the line, or was he just... Because like we said, one of the coaches were like, yeah, he was super tough on us, but like, look at me now. Like, I'm better than I was before. So I'll ask you guys this. Is that what you want a manager to do for the coaches, and not just the coaches, but for the players? Is there a sense of being too harsh to get the best out of someone? Again, Whiplash, great movie. Watch it, J.K. Simmons. But let me know how you feel about that, because I'm curious to know your thoughts. I don't think there's anything too wrong with pushing, but I think if you cross that line into like if you're like, hey, coach, like, you're not doing a great job right now, like, I need you to step the frick up. Cool, right? But if he starts crossing the line and being like, you're like, he's like, I don't know, just like berating him, like, you're a useless coach, you're horrible at your job, I don't know why I hired you. Like, if you're crossing that line, then yeah, it's a little too far, right? Obviously, we have no idea what Mike Shildt has said or done with these coaches, but what I feel like the kind of tone Kevin Acey is going off of on this article is that it went past that line. Did it? I don't know. That's just what he's saying, right? That's the idea I got from it. Obviously, read the entire article if you want the full description, but that's how I feel initially after reading this stuff, right? So his methods. He delegated authority to players, but was controlling with staff, creating a visible double standard. Staff described frequent angry outbursts and unproductive communication. Even minor questions could spark a defensive reaction in team meetings or post-game media, which we have seen before, right? He gets super defensive with the press. But Preller would joke about having to duck before meetings, illustrating how volatile things had become. The Padres reportedly planned to address his behavior in the offseason before he retired. Interesting. Interesting indeed. I don't want to get too much into it because I've kind of said my thoughts already, but it's interesting. So the end game. Shildt said he had no regrets and would not apologize for holding high standards, acknowledged that his drive and burnout were intertwined. Ultimately, both he and the team reached a silent understanding. He needed a break and they needed breathing room. Which, I mean, in the end, like, this news doesn't really wholly affect the entire team. It doesn't really affect the future, but it does make you wonder, maybe this is one of the reasons why last year failed for us. And by last year, I mean, like, literally less than a month ago. But you know what I mean. This past season, is that what went wrong? Is that what went wrong? I can speak. I don't know. Hi, sorry, someone needed me. Okay, last slide though. Key takeaways from this. Mike Shildt was respected for his baseball mind, but alienated many around him. His intensity, micromanagement, and temper led to deep staff fatigue. The Padres didn't push him out, but few seemed eager to convince him to stay. It mirrors his exit from St. Louis. Great results, strained relationships. Interesting. I don't know exactly how to wholly feel about all of this, but it does beg some questions. And I wanted to show you this too. But it never works when a manager has to inherit coaches from a previous manager or a coach placed on the staff by the front office. Managers need to hire the coaches they want. Loyalty and unity among the staff is the most important thing when putting together a cohesive coaching staff. Why do I bring that up? Well, for starters, when Bob Melvin left, a lot of the coaches were still his guys, right? And they did switch some people out, right? But obviously Ruben Niebla was one of the people who stayed. And I don't think Mike Shildt was, I don't want to say dumb enough, but we'll say dumb enough to let go of one of the best pitching coaches in the entire league, if not the best. But whoever the next manager is definitely does need to have his own staff because first of all, like I said a billion times, consistency is very important, but cohesiveness is another huge important thing, right? Whether that coach or that manager is Nick Hundley or Ryan Loretta, wherever the host, what did it say? Ruben Niebla, Mark Loretta, AJ Ellis, like it doesn't matter who it is. It matters that he brings the best with him in order to make the team the best it is. Because yes, you can expect a lot from your coaches, but at the end of the day, if not everyone's working together as a team, it hurts not just the players, but the entire organization in general, and then that makes us, the fans, upset. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys. Let me know what you think. This is some interesting stuff. I want to know how you guys feel. Please, because I'm curious. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And as always, please subscribe and go Padres. Goodbye.